Okay, with Mick Strawn, Solitude is the feature film played at the Horror Underground Film Festival. He's one of the co-directors and co-producers. I guess I would say, if I'm pitching this to somebody, I would say reality series meets supernatural.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's sort of like if a Koopa Chabra or maybe a demon of some sort just happened to wander onto your set when you were shooting any one of like Alone or something like that, right?
Yeah. So tell me about the concept of this idea. Well, first of all, when did you come aboard this project?
Uh, Jeremy and I kind of do films together.
Okay.
I kind of he's more of the he writes and he works with actors and preps and that sort of thing. And then I'm more of the guy that understands how blocking works. Uh, I can yell at people on set because I can yell at anybody. Um, and 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 sort of I kind of like do the mechanical on set stuff and you know he kind of does all the prep and everything and it works really well. He came up with this he came up with the idea because he was watching Alive, is it Alone? He was watching the series Alone
Yeah.
and he said, "You know what? This is a pretty good series, but what it's missing is a monster."
Okay. So let's take a step back for a second. We'll jump on that in a second. But so how many projects how many films have you made together?
We've actually done three. Probably the one that, if you've ever seen Vengeance, Friday the 13th, which is a, a, a full length fan film for Friday the 13th. It's also it's number one. It's got the most views of it. I think maybe 3.5 million people have seen that. And
So it's like
so,
it's a fan film from Friday the 13th.
yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of semi-retired, not doing much, and I met Jeremy because he brought me a burrito at a con in Washington, and I was sitting there signing books, and he handed me a golden burrito,
Yeah.
and that saved my life, and so we've been kind of making things together ever since.
What do you mean it saved your life?
Well, it's because I was damn hungry. That's why.
Okay. But you were so basically, but I thought you meant metaphorically, like he saved your life in some sort of way.
Oh no, but it kind of it did draw me out of retirement.
So you've written books in the past, I guess, right?
I have, yes. I did one about my work on Nightmare on Elm Street 4 called. Wait
The
a
Dream
minute, I got
Masters?
hold on.
The Dream Masters revealed?
Yeah,
I said it for you. Yeah. Yeah.
no, that's you see, uh, as you may have noticed, I'm a
Yeah.
little bit of a scatterbrain, and I just take it one molecule at a time, you know.
Yeah. So you're
But yes,
so
that's my book. I've contributed to tons of other books about the history of the business through the 80s and 90s and that sort of thing, because I was well and truly involved in most of the second golden age of horror filmmaking.
okay. So were you part just the speaking of the Nightmare on Elm Street 4, were you part of the production or were you from this is like a journalistic book?
No, I was the production designer.
Oh, you're the production designer. Okay. So that
Yeah,
you worked in the industry for a long time. Gotcha. So I'm just giving
yeah.
people context of like who you like, how you wrote the book and stuff. So you,
Oh well, I was the production designer on Nightmare on Elm Street 3 for the TV series on Leatherface. Uh, um, I also did a lot of work on Mortal Kombat and Blade and Critters 200
yeah,
and Hercules, the TV
Hercules,
series.
Fantastic Four,
Yeah, there you go.
yeah,
See, you're doing better than me because
Mantis,
literally, if people ask me that, I kind of have to look myself up.
Leatherface, bro,
Yeah,
Leatherface, you did
Leatherface. Oh, Oh, that was a good movie. I like the look of it.
Yeah, and then you're also like or you started in the art department. Like people don't know most people should know, but who are listening to this podcast, but production designer is the head of the art department. So you have an art director, you have props, you have makeup.
Yeah,
Like you're just
wardrobe.
visual
You're kind of over lighting and everything. There's a reason why we're up there. You see production design. You usually see production designer in the front of the movie. You're going to see production designer, and then you're going to see DP, and then you're going to see the director.
Yeah.
All right. And those three are specifically there as the three that hold together everything that you look at.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm kind of the guy that looks at everything except for the actors moving around, right?
Gotcha.
And depending, production designers are different depending on the film. They have different different ways of dealing with it, different things that they see as being super important. Some people as production designers kind of force everything around costumes, and some people force everything around like a particular look.
Yeah.
Mine have always been kind of based around effects and fantastic stuff, because that's kind of deeply mechanical and screwed up stuff that I'm into.
Gotcha. Well, I'm gonna give you some more credits, people. So you were the prop maker on the movie Buffy the Vampire Slayer, right? You were the prop maker?
Yeah. I was originally the production designer on it,
Yeah.
and the original director, who was the writer, who I can never remember his name, but he did Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Josh Whedon was the writer.
Josh, yeah. Josh and I originally,
he's a little bit known in the industry. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, he and I originally, he got a hold of me because he liked the Nightmare on Elm Streets.
Yeah.
And he thought that this had a lot in common with that kind of effect. And we went in, and he got fired after about 3 weeks. And the thing is usually once he leaves, I had to leave.
Yeah.
But here was the weird thing, is they kept hiring me back to do specialty props and specialty rigging and that sort of thing, because I worked on Nightmare on Elm Streets, and I knew how a lot of this was done.
Gotcha. Well, let's just say that Josh has bounced back from that firing.
Yeah. I think you know what, I've kind of heard that he's been doing pretty well lately.
Yeah, like one of the biggest movies, like from a budget standpoint, the Avengers. I think he showed them right after getting fired.
I'm not kidding. When I first met him, I thought to myself, yeah, this guy's going to land on his feet.
Yeah, Buffalo didn't he did the TV show, right? So then he's like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, and he did the TV show, and of course, Nazi did one of my favorite films ever.
Which one's that?
Serenity.
Oh, gotcha.
The whole Serenity and the TV series and stuff was, oh man, I love that stuff. I love things that I can watch and that I lose my sense of being a filmmaker. I can stop saying, well, that prop should have been another color, or this explosion should have been bigger, stuff like. I'm just into the film, and that's what Serenity. I was just completely into that whole series.
Okay, so Jeremy was the co-director of Friday the 13th Vengeance, a big film online. You were the production designer. That's how you guys kind of like became working relationship.
Right. Well, I was also the first AD, and with that, we kind of like developed that kind of like the same relationship that we had on this film. Is he would come up with the acting and the writing, and I would say, well, we need to shoot that here and here and get this, and we're going to need these effects and that sort of thing.
Gotcha. So okay, so then he co-wrote the screenplay. So when did you guys come aboard? When did you guys start shooting this film, and when did you like read the script and you're like, okay, I'm game, I'm ready to help you?
Oh yeah, I read the original 3 or 4 scripts that it came out,
Okay.
and I you know there was something about there were elements about it that I didn't like. Uh, um, but I think that a lot of it had to do with her empowering herself and not becoming a victim in it. And and we kind of finally got to a position in that I could get behind, and I was gun ho. I'm in. Okay.
And then yeah. So then you basically, like you said, you helped them with like, I'm assuming you were like the quote unquote production designer of the film too, one would assume as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot
Have
of
you seen?
outside shots, right?
I'm sorry. What?
A lot of outside exterior shots, a lot of like
Oh
your,
yeah. No,
yeah,
it's essentially
yeah,
all exterior
yeah.
shots. For the most part. Yeah. Uh, a lot of, I mean, some of the challenges that we had is that it essentially happens like one of those game shows. Essentially, you're in the same spot. You're in the encampment area, and we had to find a way that we could see this and it be consistently interesting, so that you weren't bored. Like coming back to the same angle in the same place and the same. So what we did is we kind of like worked the cameras around in a circle in a way so that every shot, the feel of the film is that you're kind of being revealed as the film goes along. You're revealing where you are. Means is we're kind of doing a set of shots here and then moving over here a little bit and then there and then there and there, and like we're working our way all the way around in a circle as we tell this story, as the encampment itself continues to change and help tell the story.
Gotcha. And so where did you find, I guess this location is key to
Oh,
discover.
it's absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
the funny thing about it is now this is another thing that Jeremy's really good at is he's good at making friends with people that are related to his films. So he liked Alone, and he did research into Alone, but then found out that a couple of the contestants literally lived right down the road from him, and that one of the contestants, Larry actually had the entire he had about I think he had 30 acres uh, that we could shoot this film on, and we could do anything that we wanted. So that's what we did.
So Alone was the, like, we'll get back to Alone that you said, like Alone's is on History Channel, I think, right?
Yeah,
Reality
I think it's on.
series,
Yeah, right. it's
reality
it's,
series,
it's a survivor. You know what,
Bible, yeah.
it's along the lines of
Yeah,
Survivor and Naked and Afraid,
yeah.
and just living in New York.
But there's no like host coming up and doing drills. It's like they're in the wilderness for as long as
Yeah.
possible.
Well,
And
yeah,
yeah,
it's basically if I'm gonna send you out essentially in nothing but a sock wrapped around your let's see how long you live,
yeah.
that sort of thing. So that's what it is. It's basically, I think that you get to go out into the wilderness uh, on the show itself alone. I think that you go out into the wilderness with 10 things, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what we did. And we based it on that show. We just you know threw in a spare Wendigo.
So it's like 10 seasons in, and it goes to different cities and different locations. I think one year they paired people up and
Yeah, exactly. It's very actually it is a really really popular show.
yeah.
And so we got to film. So we filmed on Larry's property. Larry was a very popular member of the cast, and so
And what city
we.
was this in?
I'm sorry, what?
What city was this in? What city?
Uh, in and around St. Paul, that area.
Okay, so Minnesota. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's Minnesota. Minnesota. Where the mosquitoes will carry away your car if you don't lock it down.
Yeah.
Um, so he had this great piece of property, and we used all of his know-how in get he built he built the encampment for us according to how I wanted it, to how we're going to get our shots in there, and it just came out absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. And so like, yeah, and it's different styles and like different kind of like there's like black and white sequences, like there's like
Yes. Yeah, because we're messing with time.
Yeah.
The thing is I think one of the interesting things that we do is we kind of went back and we told the Wendigo's story.
Okay.
And usually the Wendigo just kind of shows up because it's just because it's the monster. But the thing I really like about this film is we actually go back and tell the story kind of the Wendigo and kind of pull these stories together.
Yeah, like an
origin. So it isn't as much of a shoehorn as and I know that I make it seem like that because I'm a very strange person, but it's not like just shoehorning a monster into alone, or into a castaway situation. Mm-hmm. It's kind of carrying a parallel of the two stories, and then you see where these stories mix.
Were any animals killed harmed, I should say, in this film? Because you got some animal props, I guess.
Yeah, no, nothing.
So those weren't real animals then?
No.
Okay.
I don't want to reveal secrets, but gotcha. But if I ever told you what it actually was, you'd go, "You're kidding me." That's really.
You can't tell us what it is.
Oh, it's an old it's a piece of a cut fake fur. It's a piece of cut fake fur that we put a bunch of blood on and matted it up, sort of like kind of bunched it up like that, and then put it out there, and then we put feeding worms on it.
Okay, gotcha.
To give us the movement and all the rest of that.
That creepiness, like that. Yeah, gotcha.
That's
smart.
It is completely disgusting, but the funny thing about it is that I'm out there and I just kind of handed the little piece of fur that I had and handed it to the makeup effects guy and say, "Yeah, I really need this to look disgusting." And he literally came back in like 2 minutes, and it was totally disgusting.
Yeah, it looks disgusting on film, right? So
yeah, it really does. It looks so funky, and you wouldn't believe how little it took to get that effect done.
So tell me about your lead actor, because she's kind of key to your film. Do you remember where
this is what Jeremy is good at. Jeremy is really, really good at casting.
Yeah.
And he can see things in people that I rejected a couple of the ones that they had in there, but I have to tell you is I didn't see it in her. I didn't see it in her as much as he did, but once it started, there was a sequence. So let's put it this way: at the very beginning, we did a couple of the close to the end sequences.
Okay.
Because we needed all the people. It was a people thing, right? And she had to come down towards the camera screaming. And this is the first time that we had seen her reaction to like the beast, and she literally came down the path towards the camera screaming, and the crew was absolutely stunned. I mean, we were just like, what the hell was that? I mean, there was actually an extent where every once in a while I had to dial her back just a little bit.
Yeah.
But she is so good at this role. I mean, I am not what is called a director's an actor's director. Jeremy is much more that, yeah. But I have to say, she absolutely. I always wonder about the threads that an actor has to keep in their head, um, to go to be primarily on screen for the entire film,
Yeah.
because there are really very few shots in this whole film that she's not in,
Yeah.
and she still carries
By herself most of the time.
by herself most of the time,
Yeah.
and she carried the thread so well, right? I mean, you have to admit it's an incredibly convincing performance.
Yeah, no, it is. And she's like, because it's like a kind of a meta thing where like she's talking to the camera sometimes, and then like she's in it's like a film within a film kind of, right? So
Well,
basically,
yeah, because the whole idea is as part of the contest,
yeah,
she has to talk to the camera.
exactly. Yeah.
Right?
She's
There
a
was
reality show contestant.
there is a scene in there where she's kind of freaking out because she's lost her sat phone and she has to go find it, right? And yet, and it just is so well written, because she goes out and you see her go out and you see her go away, but then she comes back and picks up the camera to take it to the next spot, right? And
Yeah.
you go, oh wow, that's so weird, because there's so much stuff in that one thing, is because actually she is freaking out, but at the same time there is $1 million on the line, right?
Yeah.
So she comes back and grabs the camera and goes to the next place, right?
Yeah.
So I just love that in it. It is such a she just did such an interesting job.
So the just to go back to Alone, I gotta point out that there's a lot of it's most seasons are in Canada, right? So I think they're in Northwest Territories coming up. But I just
Yeah,
went like Saskatchewan, Labrador, British Columbia, they've been out all over Canada in the series.
right,
But
right.
have you ever
I keep
told
you know what I would expect this is that they'd be out there in the wilderness, and some Canadian just come walking by,
yeah.
go, hey, how's it going, man? Hey, and then
I
on
do have,
down.
yeah. I do have some ideas. They should go in at a downtown setting, kind of like Beijing or something like that, and see if they can survive
Yeah,
in Beijing. But that's another
right. Yeah, the problem is they never find them.
yeah, yeah, true that. Well, yeah, because it's true. You're right. It's but I was gonna say that you guys should pitch the series the showrunner that they should have a supernatural element in the show. Like they
Well, the funny thing about it is we have talked about this, is that if this shows popularity, um, it it could do a spinoff into a TV
yeah
series in a heartbeat, right?
yeah
I mean, I'm surprised that it isn't actually out there already.
yeah. No, it's a really great idea, and it's like just from a budget standpoint, I'm not saying that the movie didn't cost nothing, but I'm saying that it's a really genius idea, and
Yeah.
it's
Well,
cost
so
that much money.
we didn't want see, the funny thing is so many people do not write their films to a budget,
Yeah,
right? And we talked about this specifically from the beginning, is that we would we want something that we could do really well without much money, right? As opposed to trying to shoehorn a $25,000 budget into like Gone with the Wind, right?
yeah.
Just it's and in this case, I think that we got the right story for the budget, and managed not to spend a lot of money.
100%. Did you watch the audience feedback video that we sent you?
I didn't. You know what? I haven't. I know that Jeremy did.
Okay.
Uh, he said he really liked it a lot.
Yeah, you should
Yeah.
take a
In fact, yeah. Oh, I would love to see that. I'll take a look at it sometime.
gotcha.
I get a lot of emails that I don't answer, that I don't even look at. I'm terrible about this stuff.
So the film just starting its run. So basically, what do you guys looking to sell this? Like, what do you know what the game plan is for this film?
I'm sorry. Do we know?
It's just starting its festival run, but do you guys have a game plan in terms of like do you want to like
We're on Film Hub. We put it on Film Hub, and we're just looking for foreign distribution. We will after the film comes out in July, on the 20th. We're going to have our premiere in Virginia, and then we're going to have a run of horror happy theaters throughout America, and it will be on streaming services probably within the next few months.
Gotcha. Well, I wish you the ultimate best of success with this film. You guys got another project in the works and now? Like, you guys working on something else?
Well, we were going to try. We have a lot of things that we want to do, but now we're just stuck trying to get this film out.
Yeah.
It,
So it's a full-time job.
this. Oh God, the thing is you can say, well, we're going to make a whole bunch of films. We're going to write on down the line, but what you do is it takes so much effort to actually get them out the door.
Yeah.
I sort of got it reminds me of having kids. By the time you get them out the door into the world, you don't like them anymore. I mean, when they're little babies, you think, wow, that's the cutest thing in the world. I want this around always. But then by the time they're 16, you can't stand them because you never see your car anymore. And, you got to get rid of a boyfriend because he's got a fucking tattoo on his lip and all the rest of this.
Are you talking like from real life? Is this like a real life situation where your girl?
I guess it is. Yes, actually. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get this film out the door.
Gotcha. But you want it to live. You want it to be happy. You want it to be.
Yeah, I want it to grow up and have kids.
Yeah. You want it, but you still got to massage it. You're always going to be a parent, right?
God, it's so true. I'm telling you, it's so true.
I have 2 young children myself, so basically, maybe I'll feel what you're feeling in 10 years.
Well, I actually live on a little ranch outside of Nashville, and my son and I have 2 houses that we built on this big piece of property, and my grandkids have to run 150 feet in order to get to my front yard. So I still have kids around.
That's amazing, but you don't have the responsibility as the parent, right?
It's so much better. Hey, get out of here, you freaks! That would be me.
That's pretty cool. I like that. I like that situation. So, all right. Well, it seems like you're still going strong and you got some stories to tell. And I actually want to read your book now and your book, your tales, because I think that I love those behind the scenes of films.
Oh, well, this is the best. This is a really, really, really good behind the scenes book. I mean, you don't usually get a behind the scenes book that's actually written by somebody who is actually behind the scenes, right? So it comes from a different point of view. I interviewed 50 of my friends that worked on the film, and we broke it down into the kills, because it's a horror film, and that's what you would do. And it's a very interesting book. You need to get a hold of me to get the book. I haven't put it on Amazon.
Why not?
Why? Because I needed something to hand out. I needed something to sell when I went to cons.
Okay.
And I also like the idea. I mean, I've sold about 1,500 of them. I also love the idea that something that's harder to get a hold of is going to be more worth it to people.
Gotcha. So I can't. I was going to ask if I can buy it on Audible, but I guess I can't.
Yeah, no, you can't.
No, I remember I think I was 12 years. I was 12 years old. I remember summer 12 when I was 12 years old. I watched this film, and maybe I shouldn't have been watching it, but they didn't really push me away back then. Now it's a different story. But I remember watching it. Yeah, I haven't seen it since. Maybe I should take a look at it.
Let me tell you of how I saw that film.
Okay.
And I think it's a great kids film. I really do. I mean, it's got a couple of questionable moments and stuff, but the thing that I kind of went for on the Nightmare on Elm Street is that I see and I saw both of them as being journeys, and I saw those 2 films as being more of a Sinbad the Sailor kind of thing than being horror films. Because no matter what I did, they're going to be horror films, right? But what I wanted that journey. I wanted both of them to be about a journey. right?
Mhm.
So I took all the elements of a journey and multiplied them as much as I could.
Got-
So as you look at those films, if you think of that in your head, you go, "Oh yeah, I see what he's talking about." You know, it's because what I wanted was the most interesting part of it. Just like Sinbad the Sailor, I wanted the most interesting part to be getting from point A to B, not when they got there.
Gotcha. So in my personal journey with the film is that I think it was Rennie Harlem directed it,
Yeah,
and 12 years later, in 2000, I worked on Driven. So I met him on Driven. So there you go.
really.
Yeah, which was a crazy, crazy. Maybe I should write a book about that. When it was just nuts.
Well, you know, the funny thing that I always say about Nightmare on Elm Street 4 was Nightmare on Elm Street 4 was done despite Rennie Harlan. Not despite
Despite,
him. I mean, he never did anything negative. It's just that it's we set everything up for him.
yeah,
He didn't get there. He didn't get onto the film until 6 weeks before we started filming. And
yeah,
trust me, at 6 weeks, yeah,
yeah,
we had sets everywhere. We had huge locations worked out. You know, it was more of like he just kind of like stepped in with a blonde on each side of him like this,
yeah.
a blonde on either side, and away we went. You know,
That's smart. He was smart. He didn't screw things around.
yeah, he didn't screw.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the thing is the difference between him and Chuck Russell, because Chuck Russell had a lot of the same attributes. It's just that he was a dick about it, and Rennie wasn't.
oh, gotcha. No, it's just that sometimes that's being the smartest director. Know your team and then trust them, right? And let them
Oh
do.
yeah, yeah. You know, and you know, we all went out. And it's funny because I made a little film that's just it's a little piece that tells a story of the making of the film. It's a little animated piece, and it sort of tells the story about when the truck hit nothing. Right. The truck comes down and it hits nothing because we went to the end of the cable, and that was my idea.
Okay,
And I tell the story of sitting in the meeting where that idea came out, and it's pretty interesting. I'll actually send it to you. I think you'll like it.
cool. Well, on that note, I really appreciate your time. Solitude, make sure you watch it. It's a fantastic film. We showed it at our festival. Watch the audience feedback video if you can, because I think you're going to like what they have to say. And yeah, let's talk soon when you make your next film, or we can do more deep dive in the production design.
That's right. Okay, great.
Thanks, man.